Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is another live that we are doing. I'm just busy plotting out my color scheme, but we are coloring in the English version of Rhapsody in the Forest, which is now called the Garden of Fairytale Animals by Kanoka Egusa. You can get this book on Amazon now. They do have it available there. But if you don't have this version and you have Rhapsody in the Forest, then we will be coloring in that book. And I have picked out this lovely page here, which has a lot of fun things that we can learn to do and just color together. So we've got leaves, birds. We can do fur with the chipmunk and the squirrels. We can try a bit of woodwork here as well. So we've got the acorns, and I think there's a few berries which I might actually make red, either red or orange, and it will tie in quite nicely together. So apologies for the late start. I was helping sort out the kids before bedtime, and so I was quickly finishing a book I've been reading to my youngest, and it's one of my favorite childhood stories. I loved reading the Enid Blyton books when I was a kid, so we've really been enjoying reading that, and I need to go and reserve the next book on the library. So thank goodness for libraries. So alright, so what I have got is a blank piece of paper, and this is where I do my swatches. So I've swatched out this color scheme for the leaves, and we'll do yellow into brown, browny red, with a bit of green. I want to keep some of that green, and then I'll plot out the rest of the colors as I go along. And I'm thinking of doing the tiling here of the birdhouse in quite a dark wood. I think it will look quite nicely against these leaves. So I'm keeping to an autumnal theme, and I just need to move things around on my desk so I can get to my pencils easily. So for the dark browns here, I'm probably going to lean into Espresso, dark umber, maybe bring in some of those French grays because they're quite warm. So if I bring this up in front of here for you. So let's have a look. Here we have light umber, which we can use as I quite like using that for a light tone. If you can see here, these grays are quite brownish, so we could possibly pull in some of these. But I also like the looks of the Espresso. Now if we want a slightly reddish tone, could possibly pull in some chestnut, or even some black raspberry, which actually might work quite well. So I think what I might do is I might play with it. I might bring out chestnut, black raspberry, and I'll look for my Espresso and see if we can use that, and we'll swatch it out. Now I thought it would be quite fun to show you how I swatch out my colors and plan it, because I've really found over the last while it's been very helpful to be able to swatch my things, and it helps keep me on track as well. So it's just something that I'm really appreciating at the moment. So you just bear with me. So here is my black raspberry PC1095, and I need my chestnuts, which is here, PC1081. Now I need to hunt for my Espresso. I actually haven't, I've got a new one here, so we'll use this one because I think my last Espresso was quite small. So the smaller they get, the more lost they become. And I do have my pencil extender, so we can swap things out. All right, so I've got my espresso in a pencil extender. All right, so now if I swatch this out, we can have a look at how it's going to look. Now I want that roof up here and these tiles to be quite dark, so I might make this section maybe more dark brown to black, and then these ones here a reddish brown. So if we do a swatch, and I just lightly press it and layer it, then I go to my black raspberry and I go into that. And then I use the espresso to create the shadow. And I think that's actually really, really lovely. And you can see that swatch against that swatch. It quite works because you're bringing it in. And we could even bring in some of the burnt ochre if we wanted to. So if I take the burnt ochre and I go up here with it, then you can even see how the blend would work. And then I just write down next to my swatch the pencil number. Oh, not 934, 943. And I find this really, really helps keep me on track. Okay, so I'm going to start with some leaves, and I'm going to start with these tiles, and we will take it from there. All right, I'm going to zoom you down a bit so you can see a bit better what I'm doing. And I'm just going to work from the top down, and we'll do the background probably closer to the end. I find doing the background first, I don't always see the full picture, so it's a bit more challenging to do the background first. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lightly take my espresso and I'm going to create my shadows. So I'm just going to do this lightly. Now I have started coloring in, I think it's the Minuet Debonair. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing it correctly, I do apologize. But the same English one. And I found that polychromos do not work well with that paper. So I found that the Prismas for me are working a little bit better on this paper. But I want to go light layers because I really find this paper, I'm still getting used to it, so I'll just take it nice and slow. So I hope that you are all well. I hope you've had a good week. I won't be doing a live next week, Friday, because my husband is taking me away on a little bit of an evening out. So we're going away for the evening, and a very good friend of mine is going to be with the boys. So I'm not sure what time we will be back on Friday, but I'm looking really, really forward to it. So I thought I'll skip next week Friday's live and I'll do the following Friday. And we'll just carry on with this picture because I think it's really, really lovely. And I think we could even do some gold trimming on here, on these like lines. I think it would look quite nice. I do apologize in advance if you hear me coughing. I cancelled our last live because I'd fallen a bit ill with a cold. So I'm much better now, but I do at night have this irritating cough. So if my voice goes a bit funny or I start coughing, it's just because of that. So I'm thinking of doing the squirrels, red squirrels instead of grey squirrels. Excuse me. Okay, so then I'm going to do the same thing with here. I'm going to just I always find with buildings, you never always know exactly how to color, you know, these sort of areas, because I'm not always sure which way the light is hitting. So I just kind of ignore any rules, you know, any art rules, and I just get on with it. I must say, I do love Kanoka Egusa's pictures. She is such a talented artist, and I've wanted her books since I saw them when I was early on. So I'm taking I think this is a cool grey, PC 1067, and just in here, because it's quite a small one, I'm just going to darken that up as a shadow. And then I'm going to go over it with my espresso. So I might use, sometimes I use PC 1067 instead of black to deepen my shadows. I hope you can see this okay. I have also been working more on the fuchsias in the coloring book by Leila Dooley. So I have started working more on that color along video. So you should be able to get some of those videos up soon and color along with me, which will be really, really great. I can't believe how fast time is flying. I mean, it's almost the middle of November, and Christmas is just over a year, not a year, sorry, just over a month away. I mean, it's ridiculous how time's flying. So what I noticed with this paper is it's actually got quite a smooth finish to it. So the pencils do glide on it quite a bit. I'm not yet sure exactly how many layers of pencil we're going to get. I should be able to get a good few layers though. I have heard some people use a water-based medium like watercolor pencils, or I think you could possibly even use water-based brush markers, and that can also help with the texture of the paper and also give you richer colors and less layers with pencils. So if you do want to speed it up, I'm still not overly brave when it comes to testing water-based mediums in books that are double-sided. I tend to be a little bit more cautious because the pictures are so beautiful and I really want to color almost every picture. Okay, so now I'm going to take my Mahogany red. So basically what I'm doing is I'm coloring darkest to lightest and using like a circular motion. I'm just building up my layers. So this is going to be layer 2. And we will most likely go over this again. Now you can, if you're interested in trying polys on this paper, you can, and see how it goes. Let me know how you experience polys on this paper. I know in the other book, as I said, the polys, I just found them very frustrating, and that's the thing with coloring with pencils, is sometimes your favorite pencils don't work in certain books, and it's really just because of the paper. I do find Prismacolors tend to be quite versatile. You can use them on quite a lot of paper. Even some of the Amazon papers, Prismacolors work quite well. So I've been thinking about different pencil brands, and I mean Christmas is coming up, so it's like, oh, you know, I want to do a December Christmas haul video type thing. So I've been thinking over, you know, what sort of things would I like to get to add to my coloring collection, and you know, then gets me thinking about, you know, do I want to buy like a Shuttle Art pencil set or add to the Black Widow set? But then when I think about the polychromos and the prismas, I find that I'm so happy with them that I just don't really think I need more pencils. I do like the idea of having a budget set that works on Amazon printed paper as well as the Prismacolors, but obviously is more affordable. So I'm not sure, you know, about that. So let me know in the comments. Do you like having a lot of different pencils to play with, or what are the benefits of having a variety of brands. I mean, I'm tempted with the luminance pencils, but they are really expensive, so I'm not sure I'm ready for them just yet. And I've seen beautiful colorings with the Albert Dürer pencils, and but I really like the Inktense. So it's like, you know, do I just use Inktense more? So those are some of my wonderings and mumblings as I'm going through my wish list, and I'm just watching other people's haul videos and just seeing what's out there. So if you go in the opposite direction, you can also get a bit more layers down. Or circular, then you don't really have to worry too much about the direction of or how you're coloring. So I haven't decided yet if at the end of November or the middle of the November it's too early to start with Christmas movies and Christmas carols. Oh. But our high street has got its Christmas decorations all up, so I'm waiting to see when they switch it on. I have a feeling it will be probably either the end of November or the 1st of December. So looking forward to that. All right, so if we look along here, there's a bit more roof here, so we're just going to bring this in. And then, so that was the espresso, and then just go over it with our mahogany red. Alright, so now I'm going to go with my chestnut, and I'm just going to layer over again, and I'm just going to carry on this process, just going from lightest to darkest. Now, sorry, I'm going darkest to lightest, but you can go the other way. You could create a base coat with the burnt ochre and then build up the reds and end with the espresso if you like. So this is more or less our third layer. So I'm just counting out the layers so you can see how many layers this paper can actually take. But if I come up here, it's already feeling quite saturated. So there is, I can feel the wax on there. Now you know when your paper is saturated, when you're trying to color in and there's nothing, there's no change. Excuse me. Now, if you've got distressings, you could probably test that as well. And if you do it lightly, it would probably also work quite well to build up a base coat, and just so that the pencil part is a little bit quicker. It entirely depends on how you like to color. Okay, so now I'm bringing in my black raspberry. I mean, you could skip it and go straight to the burnt ochre. It depends how red you want to make it. So again, this would be about the fourth layer. And when I've done the burnt ochre, I'm going to go back in with my espresso and just build up some of those shadows again, because I feel like I'm losing some of them. And I might actually go into that cool grey as well and just deepen everything up, because I don't think I'm going to get more than about 6 layers on this paper. Okay, so let's use that burnt ochre, which is PC943. And I'm just going to go over the entire roof and all these tiles now. And what I'm going to do is I will soon use the same color to burnish it all together. But for now, I just want to lay it in. Because what's happening here is as I've put my colors in, I've also slowly dulled down my shadows. So this would make 5 layers. And what I wouldn't do is use a hard pressure initially. I think it wouldn't work on the paper. So this paper might need a bit more light layers initially and then blend them all with a medium to hard pressure right at the end when you're happy, or maybe a blending pencil. Okay, so now I'm going to use my Cool Grey PC1067 and I'm going to deepen my shadowed areas and try and bring some of this texture in. So I can't, with my pencil extender, I need to just sometimes swap out my pencils. So here I'm just using a slightly harder pressure now because I've put all my colors down and I can see where and what I'm wanting to do. So I'm just going to deepen my shadows. Okay, so now I'm going to use the Espresso and just go over that, and then I'm probably going to go straight back to my Chestnut. By going over my grey, I just soften it and just it makes it look a little bit natural while still keeping that depth of shadow. So this would make, I think, our 8th layer. So again, you can see by me doing this slowly that this paper can take 8 layers of Prismacolor. So it does take a lot of layers. So if you like layering up your pencils, going slow, that is one of the things with polychromos. You really do want to use your layers. With Prismas, you can sometimes and often put colors next to each other and blend them into each other, and it works, but you can't do that with polys. Polys is very much a layering style of pencil. The oil in the polys works better with the layers. So you can use polys and Prismas interchangeably, but this paper is not too bad for Prismacolors. Please let me know in the comments if you would like the Polychromos pencil conversion, and I will put that in the description below for you. In the meantime, you will just have the Prismacolors, but if you are interested in the poly options, let me know and I will happily work it out for you. It won't necessarily be exact, but it will be pretty close. So on this side here, I noticed I didn't put that grey, so I'm just coming back in with PC 1067, which is a cool 90% cool grey. I'm just adding that shadow back in, and then I'll go over it with the Espresso. Okay, so now I'm going to use my Chestnut and work on blending this out. So this would make 9 layers for those of you who are interested. Hello Leslie, how are you? It's good to have you. Welcome. How is Texas? I've heard some of the states are getting some snowfall. And I hope I've heard right, or I've understood it right. Oh wow, rainy. I suppose rain is good. We've had a lot of rain lately as well. Excuse me. Although this weekend is looking to be sunny, which is a great relief because the whole of last weekend was all soggy and rainy. I mean, I took the younger two back home from, I didn't even let them do their rugby practice because it was really torrential. Okay, so now I'm going to blend it out with the burnt ochre. So here I'm using a medium sort of pressure. And if you go different directions, it will also give a few more layers. But I think this is more or less the 10th layer, and the paper is probably the most saturated. You could probably get 12 layers, but I would say it's 10 layers is pretty decent. Okay, so that's that first section of the roof, which I actually think looks really, really lovely. And I might do that top bit either gold or black, we'll see. I'll leave it for now. Right, so I'm thinking of doing the trimming here. So this here and here in gold. I think that could look really, really nice. So what you'll need is Jasmine and Artichoke. You'll need light umber and dark brown and black and white. Dark brown, light umber, white, and I've got a black somewhere on this table. I had to walk all around my table to find the black, but I found it. Okay, so I would, because it's quite small, I would say try to have a sharp point. So I'm just going to sharpen my pencil quickly. Okay, so I'm going to start with Jasmine, and I'm going to leave some bits blank And that's just to show me where I want my white highlights to kind of go. Now I'm kind of doing it a bit randomly, so do it however you like. And I think inside these window panes I'm also going to do gold. I think it will look really, really pretty. And then I'll leave the clock for now. So do you like coloring metals? I'm trying to color different metals and not stick to just gold. I like gold, so I tend to gravitate to coloring it quite a lot. But I'm slowly trying to work on practicing with silver, and I need to work on more of a bronze as well. Oh, cool. Tin. Do you ever use a bit of rust when you color in tin or silver? Because I've seen, you know, when you look at photos and you've got that rusted effect on like an old wheelbarrow or something. I find it very fascinating, but I've never tried coloring that sort of effect. Yeah, agreed, Letty. It would be interesting to color rust. I should actually look around and see if I can find any tutorials on it. I think especially in like some of Maria Trolle's pictures where she's got those like watering cans, and to create a rusted look or effect, I think could be really effective on some of those sort of pictures. Oh, I've gone out of frame, sorry. So I'm just going through the whole picture and I'm trying to just lay down the gold. And I'm trying to make sure that you can see everything so that the picture I'm working on is in full view for you. So I've thought of doing the bird, a wood pigeon. So it should have a bit of purples and greens to it. And I thought that would work really, really sweetly because it's like a purpley grey or grey lavender with a dash of, I suppose, like lilac or lavender. I'm not sure. But a nice gentle tinge of purple with a bit of green, and the green will fit in with the leaves. You could make the clock face bronze. And that could work actually quite well because it's still within the color palette of those browns and yellows. So I might do that. It's actually a lot of framing in here. So all this underneath this chipmunk will be a darker shade of gold because it's got a lot of stuff around it. It's quite tricky to see where all the lines are going. So this side here is quite busy, but we're getting there. That's not gold, that's a stick. So I'll need to erase that later. So don't do the side gold, that's part of a stick. I'll erase that just now. I haven't got my eraser out. Alright, so now we do Artichoke, and we basically go over most of the yellow again and build it up from there. So again, sharp pencil, but I'm not going to go as much yellow, so I'm going to try and leave some of that jasmine. The other thing you could do if you want is just use a gel pen. You could leave these for the end and yeah, just use a gel pen. I find, talking back about metals, creating a shiny metal versus a more worn out metal, I think is also quite an art. You really need to know how to create those indents. But I suppose that would come more into play when you're coloring various types of armor. So you could have a shield, which might probably need a more battered look to it than a fresh suit of armor. So what are some of your coloring goals for 2023? What are some of the things you would like to learn and experiment with in the new year? Wow, Lizzie, that's great. I'm glad you got a great deal on the polys. They are beautiful pencils to color with. So would you like to learn more on how to use the Ohuhu set and Inktense? So I've got a whip. It's one of those advent calendar whips. And I decided I would try and use, because I don't really like coloring that particular advent calendar. So I thought, you know, it's probably a good way to color with markers and work on practicing how to use them other than just a base layer and that sort of thing. So I totally hear you on learning how to use markers more. But I have heard from, you know, markers do need a specific type of paper. I think it's not water-based. You get marker type paper, and that works well with blending and that sort of thing. I think when it comes to markers, if I wanted to learn how to color with them professionally, I'd probably look into one of those courses you can buy and someone teaches you how to use them. Only because I'm not markers aren't my favorite medium. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to light umber, and I'm just working my way up all my shades for the gold and just building the layers. And then I will add black at the very end, and I'll also blend it out with my white pencil. If you wanted to, you could even skip the light umber and go straight to the dark brown. Don't worry, Leslie. It's you. It's all good. I also go quiet. You do you, and I'll do me, and we'll still have a great time. My 8-year-old has decided he wants, I think it's RJ, is it RJ Hampson's? He also has a variety of books, but he wants the dragon book. So he's like, he wants another coloring book for Christmas. So he's been watching a couple YouTube videos with me, and he's decided he likes the new Crystal Vogel's coloring book, the artist who's got a similar style to Clara Markova, but then he changed his mind and decided no, he wants to color in dragons. So it's quite cool when the kids start wanting to be creative alongside mum or dad. Yeah, dragons are awesome. I like the happy dragons, not one for fierce dragons too much. And Herb Leonhardt, he's also got some really great dragons. So I'm thinking along those two. Be fun to do some more dragons in the new year. Okay, so now it's coming to the last bits. Dark brown, and then I'll do the black and we'll blend it all in and see how it looks. Okay, so dark brown. I find when you start putting in the black bits and the white highlights, it just really brings all this gold together. I might actually add a bit more jasmine. Okay, so now some black, and then I'll go back with the Jasmine before I blend it all out with white. Yeah, it really does work with all these highlights and these shadows. Okay, let's put in a bit more of this jasmine, and then we can blend it out with some of the white. I suppose we don't really want it too gold because it is a birdhouse. So maybe a gentle gold is a good idea. I missed some black up here. But yeah, I mean, layer it up until the gold is the color you want it to be. As I can see, there's a few bits here where I think I need a bit more artichoke. But I can play with that. So like down here, it needs, I think, a bit more artichoke. bit more black. No, we're not in spring. We are in the middle of fall. So yeah, it's going to be getting much cooler from here on. Although we've had quite a warm November. So I'm hopeful that winter won't be too cold either. How cold does it get in Texas over winter? I'm in the UK. So I'm originally from South Africa, hence the accent. But I've been living in the UK now almost 5 years. So if I was in South Africa, it would be the end of spring, and they'd be going into summer. But by the time December comes around, it's pretty hot. Yeah, it's the accent, sorry. It's so funny. It was, I think, 2009, and my husband and I went from South Africa and traveled Mediterranean, and I never thought that we had an accent until I went overseas. And we had so many people asking us, "Oh, are you from Australia? Where's the accent?" And then we moved to the UK, and regularly we have people asking us, "Are you South African?" And it's just because of the accent. But until we had traveled, I would never have realized we have an accent. You hear everybody else's accent but your own. But when I was a kid, because of my parents' work, was often around a lot of American people. So as a kid, I ended up having a bit of an American accent. Because we were in Mozambique, and my parents did charity work, and the organization they worked for would often have American donors, and they would come and visit us in rural Mozambique. So we picked up the American accent, but when we moved back to South Africa for our teen years, then I lost the American accent and picked up a full-on South African one. Oh wow, that is quite a varied weather. Oh, I love southern states accents. I think the southern states have such a lovely drawl. I think it's absolutely lovely. It's like Scotland. I love Scottish accents as well. Okay, I think I'm going to leave the gold for now, because I think I want to see what it looks like when I do the rest of the tree of the birdhouse. So the bits at the bottom of the page, if I lift this up a bit, I haven't completed all the gold at the bottom, but I'll do that. It's pretty much the same principle, so I'll do that off camera. but I think I'm going to come and do a few leaves. So the colors I've got here, so I'm doing the leaves, those colors, but then I'll swatch out the gold as well and have that earmarked. So I'm going to use, I think I'm going to put mostly a base of Gingeroot, and I'm going to do the leaves here at the top. I'm just trying to think how I want to do this. Actually, I think I'm going to go with my darker color and put my dark color in so that I can actually see the shadows on these leaves. So I'm using Mahogany red. Yeah, Scottish accents are just amazing. Although we were watching, I think it's one of those superhero movies with Black Panther, all of that. But in that film, one of the actors is doing a South African accent, and wasn't a terrible effort. But sometimes when people try to act certain accents, it doesn't always sound right. So that was just one of those examples where we could hear the South African accent trying to come out, but it wasn't 100% there yet. I don't know if you've noticed that with films. Try and move my book a bit so you can see what I'm doing without my hand blocking the way. So again, with the leaves, I'm doing a similar technique to the roof birdhouse tiles, because I want to see where I want to put my shadows and my highlights. Alright, so now I'm going to put in a bit of the lime peel. And this is more my highlight color. Okay, then I'm going to go to PC943, which is the burnt ochre. And I'm just going to go over all my reds. Oh yeah, it's always funny how you have somebody trying on a different accent. You can hear when they either get it right or it's not successful. Okay, and then now I will use the Gingeroot. And then try and use the Gingeroot to kind of blend this all into each other. Okay, so for deepening up the shadows, I had PC 1029, which is the Mahogany. So I'm going to come back in with that Mahogany and try and really deepen up the deeper shadows. I might actually bring in a bit of that. Just trying to think which grey, because the grey is really good for these sort of shadows. So I might actually use a 70% French grey. Because to stand these leaves out, they need a bit more shadow. And what I like with the French greys is they actually bring an earthiness into the leaves, which I quite like. Okay, so now I'm going to go over that with the brown ochre. So I don't need too much more red. I think I've got quite a lot of red in here. What I really want is to bring in those orangey tones and a bit more of that softer yellow. Oh, I wish I could visit the US. I actually haven't visited the US. I've got family in Texas, my aunt and my gran, and my cousin. They live in Texas, but my dad's traveled a bit to the US for work, and my husband went to New York earlier this year on business, but I haven't ventured into the States yet. I did, because I was homeschooled American curriculum, so I know a lot about the American history and, you know, American geography and that sort of thing. So, because my schooling was American, which I really, really loved. It was really a lot of fun and was really interesting. But I've traveled Europe a little bit, and I've been to Egypt and Israel, Angola, grew up in Mozambique. So I've done a little bit around there. Oh, and yeah, hubby took me to the Seychelles as well before we had kids. Yeah, I also really love the French Grace brown tint. They really work well. Yeah, I was homeschooled from the age of five or six. Initially, it was a different curriculum. Then my parents changed curriculum, and then I stayed on that curriculum all the way until grade 12. Got my high school diploma, had to do American SATs so I could get into a South African university. Eventually got through that, did my degree, long distance learning, and worked. At one stage I worked part-time and studied. Then I worked full-time and studied. And then after I got married, I studied full-time again. But yeah, so now I homeschool our boys, and they, for the most part, also have a bit of an American education. I do try weave in the British sort of culture or history as well for them, so that it's relevant to where they're living. But yeah, it's really cool that you homeschooled your daughter all the way through. Did you enjoy it? Was it a good experience for you? Okay, I'm going to bring in a bit more of the Gingeroot. Oh, cool. Hope you had a great chat with your sis. So this is the Gingeroot, and I don't want to go into the reds and the oranges too much. I just want to touch into it and bring it out so it blends a bit more. And I think I might add in a little bit more. I might put in a bit more lime peel. We'll see. I'm really loving this though. Okay, let's bring in a bit more of the lime peel. I think this will just brighten it up as well. And then back to the Gingeroot to blend that lime peel back in. So I really like those leaves. I actually think they work really, really well. I'll try and put in a bit more green as well. So if we come down to some of these lower leaves, maybe put a bit more green here. Oh, cool. I'm glad you had a great experience. I was actually thinking about it today and was wondering, how much have I enjoyed homeschooling my kids, and is it something I would do again? Because I have heard other homeschoolers whose kids have moved on, and for them, they loved it with their kids, but they wouldn't want to do it again. I think for my mom, she enjoyed it, but she wouldn't do it again. It's not something she would want to repeat. So I was thinking about that, and I thought, oh, actually, I really enjoyed being at home with my kids and being part of their learning and education and seeing them grow. I actually think if I could do it again, I probably would. It's always great to hear other people's experiences, though, with homeschooling, because I find it really encouraging. So I'm using Gingeroot at the moment, and so now I'm going the opposite way, where I'm going lightest to darkest. I'm going to put more Limepeel here. And I think I'm going to bring in some Jasmine. So I'm just wanting to play a little bit around with these colors. Oh, okay, that's interesting. What did you find challenging about the high school years? All right, now I'm going to do the burnt ochre. All right, I'm going to blend this out with some more Gingeroot. And then I'm coming in with my Mahogany red. I will definitely ask them. They do know Dallas and Fort Worth because I think my aunt is and my grand live in Fort Worth or thereabouts. So I'm back in with the burnt ochre, but I actually want to use some of that 70% French grey and just deepen up these shadowed areas. Okay, burnt ochre. And then Gingeroot. Oh, cool. It's good to know that you are south of that whole Fort Worth, Dallas area. I know my aunt would love it if I could come and visit. I was speaking to my gran because my gran came over a couple of months ago for a visit and she stayed with my folks. And I mentioned to my gran I'd love to come over to the States just to pop in and say hello. So I know my aunt and my uncle would be really thrilled. Okay, I'm going back with my 70% French grey just to try and deepen up some of these veins. But it's pretty much done. And I'm going to do all the leaves this way. So what I think I'm going to do is I will finish the leaves off camera because it's pretty much this style, but I'll vary. Some of them will be a bit more muted into yellows, and some of them might have a bit more browns. And then next time I do the live, we can carry on with the other things. And then I'll also have a think through about the brown for the rest of the birdhouse and which brown would work best. I think what I'm going to do is the tree here will be probably a darker brown, so it stands out from the rest of it. Oh, that's good to know that you recommend spring and fall instead of summer. I have heard it gets ridiculously hot in the summer over in Texas. Okay, so I'm going to finish the leaves off camera, and I will think through the rest of the colors. For the acorns, I'm thinking of doing the berries probably like a orangey color, or they're either berries or they're small acorns. If they're small acorns, I'll probably do them more green into brown. Oh my goodness, over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hot. Wow. You guys must have a load of air cons to help you through that, because wow. Yeah, thanks Leslie. I've enjoyed chatting to you, and I appreciate the conversation, and this has been a lot of fun. I'm enjoying this picture. So I will see you guys all again in not next Friday, but the Friday after. I will put it up on the community post, and then we can carry on with this page. And yeah, so let me zoom you out so you can see it a bit better. And I will put all the pencils I've used in the description below. Have a great weekend, and I will see you in 2 weeks' time. Till next time, take care.